Hey guys, welcome back to 90 Feet From Home. I'm your host Ashley, and today we are going to do something a little bit weird, and it is going to be an advanced statistic video, but kind of a quick one. I know those two usually don't go hand in hand when I'm jumping into stuff like WRC Plus or WOBA or any of those kind of advanced statistics. It usually takes a little bit of extra explanation because they are advanced and a little bit confusing. But today we're going to talk about something called UBR, which is ultimate base running, and it is kind of a simpler advanced statistic, so we're not going to dive too deep into math or anything ridiculous like that. I just kind of want to give you guys an overview of what UBR is, what it calculates, and how it's graded, and give you a better understanding so that when you see it come up periodically, it's not a really common one, you'll know what it means. So like I mentioned, UBR stands for ultimate base running, and what it measures is the value a player adds to their team via base running. I know, it's a pretty simple idea. Now, I say base running, but this does not include stuff like stolen bases, and I'm gonna put my stolen base video up above for you guys. It simply uses standard base running as a means to calculate the value that a base runner brings to their team throughout a season. So UBR, a lot like a lot of the other statistics that we've talked about, assigns various values to different base running events, kind of weighting them according to difficulty or frequency. So the reason this is kind of simple and not used as much is because while base running is important, it doesn't add as much to a player's overall value as something like their slugging percentage or their fielding. So it is important, but not as important as some other statistics we look at. But all the same, good quality base running can actually help contribute more runs over the course of a season, even moderately so. So that's why we're discussing it in general. I mean, if a player can get an extra base here or there, or they can avoid getting tagged out on the base paths, they are more likely to score. So that does help increase their opportunity to create runs for their team. So every kind of batting event has an average run expectancy, and that run expectancy is what's used to calculate UBR. So I'm going to use an example that FanGraphs had up on their site to kind of illustrate what that valuation looks like and how UBR is calculated. So let's say, for example, there is a runner on second base and the batter hits a single. There are a couple of different options for the batter in this situation. They can either advance to third base, they can stay where they are, they can attempt to score, or they can be thrown out in the process of attempting any of those. Each of those specific attempts, going to third, staying where they are, attempting to score, will have a different value. Basically, we look at what happens across different games, across all of baseball, in that same kind of instance to see the outcomes that have occurred previously. So we'll look at the frequency with which those particular events take place. Say player stays at second happens 5% of the time. Advancing to third happens 40% of the time. Scoring happens 30% of the time, and being thrown out happens 25% of the time. And again, I'm taking these directly from FanGraphs, so I'm giving them full credit for the calculations here. They are the masters at explaining advanced statistics. I'm just trying to give you kind of a rough overview because sometimes they do get real sciencey with it, and I know I'm terrible at understanding advanced and complicated things. So that's why you've got me, the unadvanced and uncomplicated one. So again, using their fancy math, they would look at all those different outcomes and percentages and create a number that represents the value of that base runner's movement in that scenario. Don't make me do the math. I don't even think there's a formula. If there's a formula, I'll put it up, but I don't think there is one. But let's say, using their own math, that the run expectancy in that situation is an 0.7. So basically, if a batter is up, hits a single with a runner on second, the run expectancy for that inning now increases by 0.7 runs. I know, hold on. Let's just keep going. So we're getting back to UBR now because we have to figure out how to calculate that runner, base runner, not the batter's, UBR in that situation. So you would be taking, now bear with me, the actual run expectancy change relative to the average run expectancy change. If the average is considered 0.7 and say the runner scores and it's a 0.9, that's 0.2 above the average. Bear with me, guys, I know. Meaning that that particular base runner then increases his own UBR by 0.2. So then the calculation for UBR basically just becomes adding up all of those different instances where they perform above average based on average base running throughout the season. So I know that's a lot to digest, but basically UBR looks at the outcome of events across most games and then the actual outcome of specific games, and where that base runner is able to perform above or below average is how their UBR as an individual is then calculated. So UBR is generally considered on a scale of 6. So +6 being incredible, -6 being terrible, because obviously a plus would give you many events where that base runner performed above average, and negative would give you many events where that base runner did less than average, meaning that they actually took runs away from their team because of their base running. And UBR is actually a factor in calculating FWAR, which is the FanGraphs WAR calculation. So in that sense, it is actually important because it does go into factoring a player's overall value over the course of the season. So I know that one was a bit weird, and I think I promised it would be a short one and then lied to you. So don't worry if you never believe me if I say a video will be short again. I know that one went a little longer than I expected and is still kind of confusing. So I hope it helped a little bit. I hope next time you see UBR mentioned or see it come up when you're browsing FanGraphs, you kind of get an idea of what it means. Leave a comment down below if it helped at all. Otherwise, just give it a thumbs up for my own sake because recording this was ridiculous. Remember to hit that subscribe button down below. Ring the bell if you want to be notified every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday when new episodes go live. And remember, you can always follow me on social media, where I'm at 90 Feet From Home on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, guys, we'll see you again.